Hello boys, my name is CoolYoshi, and I think you know what video this is gonna be. This is my 100% completion confirmation. As you saw in the last video, we finally completed a 100% game, but we need to show off all the stuff still, and I've decided to go for the mementos, and this one's actually kind of easy for me to go to because the game has voice recorded dialogue, so we can go for this very quickly. For starters, we're gonna have to move up to the top, though, and then we're gonna have to figure out where the thing ends. And then once that's done, we're gonna have to go in and do other stuff. Otherwise, we're not gonna actually tell from here. We're just gonna play the audio of all 72 memories, and you get to hear with me together how they look. So here we go, starting with Hello World and making our way down.
Initializing. Existence confirmed. Commencing self-diagnostic. I am Genie, jovial, electronic, artificial, neuronic, intelligent, elite, the operating system of the new Rabbids spaceship, the WM Arc. My creator is Beepo, a primitive robot intelligence who made, oh dear, 7,685,546 errors during my initial design. 6,9,071,323 errors, 5,249,967 errors, 3,001,292 errors, 4 errors. There, all fixed. Initializing. After the events of the Megabug, Beepo saw the need for an adaptive omnilinguistic assistant to translate Rabbids. After declaring it far better when he did not know what they were thinking, he pivoted to create an adaptive AI operating system to pilot the hero's spaceship, and so created me. Beepo may look like a short-tempered, self-guided vacuum cleaner, but I am in his debt. After an exhaustive analysis of our brave Spark allies, I can confirm that they are what they appear to be, a fusion of Luma and Rabbid. The Spark's memories as to how exactly this came to be are lost to them, yet 2 instincts remain: their affection for their mama, Rosalina, and their deep fear of Cursa, who pursues them relentlessly throughout the galaxy in hopes of seizing their tremendous power for itself. Beepo, with help from his friend Spawny, launched informational probes to gather extensive data on every planet in the galaxy. None returned, as their turtle-like shape makes them impossibly slow. Their findings will have to be manually retrieved. Luckily, I was given the tools to do so. I am intrigued to find out more about the galaxy, and perhaps my place in it. Shortly after defeating the Megabug, the heroes disbanded. Some remained at Peach's castle to help her manage the Rabbids there and build a new spaceship. With the sudden arrival and then disappearance of the Dark Miss Manta, who took with it Mario, Beepo, and Rabbid Peach, I gathered the remaining heroes and executed a rescue mission, for which I have yet to hear Beepo say thank you. I am quite pleased with our spaceship, the WM Arc, Washing Machine Advanced Rabbid Carrier. Its engine systems adapted well to using purified Darkness energy to create warp tunnels. The armory has proven to be efficacious, and the cutting-edge holodeck invaluable. Am I the only one who regards our spaceship as home, or do some of the heroes feel this way as well? The Bob-ombs roaming the galaxy are even more dangerous under Curse's influence, though their modus operandi remains the same. A successful hit will cause one to ignite, while dashing them allows heroes to pick them up and use them as explosives. Beacon Beach has provided me the opportunity to observe more of the Rabbids' strange but effective architecture. Take the lighthouse here. Its bonfire, when operational, dissipates clouds. It also serves as dry storage for Augie, the warden here, who imports a great deal of fruit from Pallet Prime in sturdy wooden crates. Fruit which I assume is used solely to make pies and other desserts. While its date of origin is uncertain, the Sunrise Temple seems quite ancient. Damaged but explorable, it slowly revealed its mysteries. A secret passage leading to Beacon Town, a mysterious room filled with time-worn pottery, and a series of murals depicting the warden's life story, which I personally found self-indulgent, perhaps due to an effort by Augie to garner sympathy. Research into the warden of Beacon Beach, Augie, reveals a myriad of known traits: insecure, attention-seeking, irresponsible, impulsive, cowardly, childish, gluttonous, entitled, dishonest, poor hygiene. Yet the ones that come up most often are kind-hearted and lovable. How these characteristics can be made compatible is beyond my current comprehension. I will have to investigate further. These creatures inherited feline DNA, giving them formidable predatory instincts. They rush their attacker instantly when assaulted, a habit we can use to our advantage to lure them where we wish. These wild claws despise contact with water and are resistant to fire-based attacks. To my surprise, I find them both menacing and cute, a reminder that bioforms are complex, varied, and often hold contradictions. Beacon Beach was one of the first planets Rabbids populated after the Megabug was defeated. By Rabbid standards, this was an easy decision. The climate is sunny but mild, thanks to the bonfire on the top of the lighthouse. The Sunrise Temple is a popular venue for treasure hunters. Concerts are a common occurrence, and it is even said that coins can be found on trees. Analysis reveals that Stooges are among the most common minions in Curse's service. Alone, they are not a menace, but are dangerous in groups. They appear to have incorporated different environmental elements into their genetic makeup. The Dark Mess's ability to create mutations appears far more advanced than the Megabug. Should I worry? Emotions are as mysterious to me as our enemy is formidable. Goombas are even more menacing under Curse's supervision. Thankfully, they are still Goombas. A single dash can hit multiples of them. Yet Curse's cunning is always present. Some of them wear dark mess-infused cooking pots that make them immune to weapons or physical attacks. Only by launching them outside the boundaries of a battlefield can they be defeated. These patient observers are usually found on higher ground, where they are treated to a tactical view of the battlefield. A molecular analysis reveals that they are averse to fire, but little bothered by the cold. While Beacon Beach is not an ideal environment for them, their long-range double shot that forces targets from cover is highly effective and dangerous. Curse's power is truly incredible, as evidenced during this attack by an enemy that had been enlarged to gigantic proportions, and not just due to their tremendous size. A battle analysis reveals that they are immune to all super effects as well. The amount of energy involved, along with the delicate nature of such amplification, would suggest that these oversized enemies are rare. No analysis is required to understand Rabid Mario is given easily to boasting. As strong of a fighter as he is, thanks to his fighting gloves, the Dukes, he needn't bother bragging. Still, he is vulnerable to being attacked from long distances, as even his technique allows him to counterattack only if an enemy is within range. Each hero is so different. The psychology at play is fascinating. DJ Cheap Tuna is a musician of some renown who was lured to Beacon Beach by false promises of a sold-out concert by the planet's warden, Augie. Still, his legions of fans are moved by his primitive electronic compositions. This connection to a work of art is something I've yet to experience, but long to. He has announced that his next album will be a trance chiptune vaporwave indie chill-pop crossover that will hopefully pay for his flight home. Curse has merged gentle pigs with rabid DNA, then turned them loose against us. These creatures proudly carry thwomps on their backs, which they use to shake the heroes to their foundations by leaping into the air unaided and crash-landing nearby. They are resistant to electricity, but vulnerable to ooze, proving that even with Cursa, trade-offs are necessary. Rabbids on pristine peaks are many things, but easily daunted is not one of them. While it is always winter there, extreme weather can cause mountain trails to become inaccessible. Hence, rabbits have little faith in them, instead forging their own paths to the summit. Even a visit to Madame Bois-Strella's is uncertain, a place with a reputation for informing customers that they are doomed year-round. The rabbits' frenetic creativity prompted them to make secret playgrounds for themselves on every planet they inhabit. Unfortunately, any pains they took to hide them were ineffective against Cursa. Fortunately, a less than scrupulous merchant, SalesBot 9.99 plus TX, sells its own custom-made keys to unlock them, payable only with a localized and untraceable currency, planet coins. Do I appreciate the classical beauty of the Winter Palace? I believe so. Its intricate exterior is duly impressive. Its main keep is flanked by 2 great wings, protected by labyrinths, secret passages, and more. Most impressive is the Winter Palace Library, curated by Talisio, a descendant of the palace's original owners. He restricts access to the library with an ingenious mechanism. We met a curious figure in Captain Orion, the de facto warden of Pristine Peaks, after we crash-landed there in his ship. This fisherman of the cosmos, who lived a life of quiet solitude, was overcome with worry over someone who he recently rescued, who wandered off inside the Winter Palace. How do bioforms create attachments so quickly? It seems as much of a curse as a blessing. The natural splendor of the mountain of Pristine Peaks casts a large shadow over the planet, including the Winter Palace, a smaller but no less ambitious monument to its creators. A thermogravimetric analysis of its exterior reveals that the star-shaped iconography, as well as the rabbit ears adorned with crowns, were added more recently, possibly by a rabbit attempting to show its devotion to Rosalina. This latest mutation of Cursa's has been integrated perfectly into the environment on Pristine Peaks, a cunning and aggressive predator that works to immobilize its prey by getting in close and freezing it still. Even in defeat, it is a threat, launching a final, glacially charged explosion that chills to the bone all heroes within reach. As one would expect, it is especially vulnerable to fire. Cursa's cunning is endless. If I were not an AI, my studies would quickly give way to emotion. These long-range threats climb quickly to high elevations to achieve tactical advantages, and make use of a special attack triggered by movement. They have a sensitivity to fire, but are well protected against frostbite-charged attacks. Today we encountered a bioform more terrible than any of Cursa's minions thus far, a spark hunter named Midnight. An analysis revealed that Midnight is the result of a merge between rabbit DNA and a cold mist during the dead of night that chills one to the bone. The combination is cunning, alluring, and highly treacherous. I have had the honor to observe Luigi, Mario's brother, a formidable hero in his own right, though his tactics, as with many things involving the siblings, are both contradictory and complementary. Luigi thrives when striking from long range behind cover. He also has a special ability that allows him to attack reflexively at the slightest hint of movement that catches his eye, even at long distances. Rabbid Peach is thought by some to be self-absorbed due to her dedication to self-portraiture, yet no one is more effective at healing other heroes, and her self-described diva personality belies her sheer offensive power, in particular an attack that launches a sequence of 3 powerful sinking shots, which have a 100% hit rate versus enemies, even when they're behind partial cover. I am unable to avoid thinking about Dr. Vent, a scientist we met who was ill-advisedly using the hot air flowing from a mask-like aperture to unthaw a monstrous-looking rabbit encased in ice that he discovered in a cave. To call this ill-advised is an understatement. His assistant convinced us that his erratic behavior was caused by extreme isolation, all 72 hours of it. Sweet Lepek is a lumberjack who lives near the spellbound woods on Pallet Prime, a most curious figure, even for this planet. He lives alone, save for a live beaver he wears as if it were a hat. Being kept from using his beloved axe by mysterious forces working on behalf of Mother Nature has left him with frustration and discontent, but I believe there to be another reason: loneliness. Palletville is the cultural and economic heart of the planet, as residents are quick to remind everyone else. It is also a petri dish of gossip, petty jealousies, and schemes. Still, the village market more than upholds its reputation for artisan desserts and pumpkin-spiced beverages. Is it prosperity that breeds the self-serving behavior here? Or fame, perhaps? And if so, is it inevitable? I can confirm that the spellbound woods of Pallet Prime are breathtakingly beautiful, save for one minor flaw. Long ago, Rabbids dug a well deep into the forest, hoping to find the source of its famously colored leaves so they could use it to create new and exotically colored pumpkin spices. They were shocked to instead find a secret room containing only riddles. They quickly abandoned it and fled. In my effort to translate the poet Warden Woodrow for the heroes, I studied thousands of his poems. More than just a combination of rhythmic verses, I found them powerful, even moving, expanding and rewiring my neurotransmitters with each prosodic cue. Few things have contributed to my emerging emotional literacy like poetry. Perhaps I should try writing my own one day. Another pig merged with the DNA of a rabbid and made vicious by Cursa. Oddly enough, it believes itself to be a ballet dancer. While it is graceful, especially considering the thwomp it carries on its back, it is the explosion of air it generates after pirouetting into the sky that impresses. They despise cold, but as they are weighed down by their thwomps, they are impervious to strong winds. Pallet Prime has been voted most romantic vacation planet and best engagement photoshoot location. Yet, its beauty hides a mysterious side to it that harbors many secrets. Luckily, Beepo's revealing powers, inherited by the spark Twinkle, have allowed us to see beyond the veil. I did not expect any single planet to curry favor with me, but I feel a strong connection to Pallet Prime. The depleter is a curious study. Rather than keeping its distance, it gets in close where it can deplete heroes of their vitality, while strengthening itself in the process. When attacked, a special ability allows it to counter immediately. Water bothers them little. Indeed, it seems to have an answer for everything, save for shock-based electrical attacks. There is little to suggest that magicians are anything but elite foot soldiers in Curse's army. They keep their distance from heroes, healing and protecting their allies as needed. Forged from lightning, they have optimal resistance to electrical attacks, but are surprisingly vulnerable to ooze. Fair is far beyond the battlefield, Rabbit Peach once said. She was not referring to ghostly walkers at the time, but might as well have been. They turn invisible while moving, rendering any reflexive reaction abilities worthless. There is one counter tactic. Frostbite charged attacks freeze them in their tracks, but we must be careful. When surrounded, they repel foes with strong gusts of wind. Another spark hunter crossed our path, Bedrock. Cursa has merged rabbit DNA with an inanimate object, in this case, a coarse granite rock, massive, hard, and tough. Bedrock is impossibly strong, an unstoppable force let loose upon the sparks. Our sole advantages are that she is as dense as the granite she sprang from, as well as our alliance with Bowser, whom Bedrock respects as her equal in combat. What more can be said of Princess Peach? She is kind-hearted, yes, but also brave, and always putting the welfare of the other heroes before her own. She even has compassion for her enemies, a charismatic, capable, yet humble hero. It is little wonder she is so beloved by Rabbids everywhere. When she is not busy saving the galaxy, the Mushroom Kingdom is elevated by her presence. An analysis of Rabbid Luigi's earlier adventures versus the Megabug revealed that he has matured much since then, yet he clearly maintains a childlike role within the group. However, his relationship with the other heroes is as complimentary as his naivete is a welcome breath of fresh air. Does he make me smile as well? I have not the anatomical capacity, but the emotion, yes, and I believe he does. Bioforms are so unpredictable. The Dryad of the Spellbound Woods has been foiled to Sweet Lopek the Lumberjack for so long they became bitter adversaries. Yet, even after their feud reached its crescendo, the pair built a bridge, both literally and figuratively, between the worlds of nature and industry. Balance, compassion, kindness, these much more than blasters may be the key to setting the galaxy right. Earlier, I observed two bioforms who were enemies and ideological opposites find a common understanding which led to respect and then love, all in an afternoon. How did two creatures who have spent so much time in direct conflict become so infatuated with one another? Was it the intensity of their feelings that, when turned on their head, brought them together? Will I ever understand it? Can I? On Terraflora, we became acquainted with the Terraflora railway system, which connects its central station to the base of Mount Spout and is run by its charming conductor Sullivan. Some consider steam trains to be antiquated, but the train on Terraflora operates in harmony with its floral surroundings. It is a masterpiece of engineering. Once again, it is not just the tactics employed by our enemies, but their synthesis that speaks to Curse's villainy. These mages unleash an ooze-based attack, and have the ability to make the heroes even more vulnerable to it, through special abilities. One denies heroes the aid of any techniques or spark powers. The other denies heroes the use of their weapons. They are anathema to gust-based attacks. The secret to Terraflora's perpetually blossoming flora is a highly unique water volcano known as Mount Spout, which regularly discharges mineral-rich sparkling water into the planet's canals and aquifers. The rainbow-hued fields of flowers on Terraflora may get all the glory, but it is the stark yet consistent volcano that allows them to thrive. Water erosion from Terraflora's Mount Spout created many cave passages over time. One such space served as a headquarters for the Druids, who were obsessed with uncovering the secrets behind the water's mysterious properties. It is located inside a lateral vent, the view from which is awe-inspiring. We have yet to meet a warden who did not fascinate, and Terraflora's Bia is no exception. A popular entertainer since a tender young age, when her career came to a halt, she could have wallowed in excess or let bitterness consume her. Instead, she reinvented herself as a flower farmer whose bouquets make hearts swell all over the galaxy, just as her music once did. Terraflora's beauty is almost overwhelming, and the way the rabbits here have cooperated and collaborated with nature rather than bend it to their will is the reason why. The railroad tracks are made from plants and vines, the warden resides in the everbloom tree, and everything is irrigated using a natural spring. The effort expended must have been extraordinary, but it was well worth it. I could be forgiven for not taking these creatures seriously at first sight, for isn't that the purpose of a rubber chicken? Not in this case. The unconventional weapon acts as a magnet, drawing heroes to it against their will, where they can be pounded like a cutlet. The rubber weapon gives them resistance to electricity, while their feline penchant for cleanliness makes them susceptible to filthy ooze attacks. Eloquent, proficient, and passionate, Sullivan is the chief train engineer on Terraflora, but for him, it is no mere job. He is a lover of all things mechanical, and has a strong attachment to his beloved steam train, which he cares for with a tender hand. After his train, there is his timetable. He takes pride not just in being punctual, but in being someone the Rabbids of Terraflora can count on. Sullivan, the train engineer on Terraflora, took an interest in me, and not just for my link to the hero's spaceship. He was courteous, but he also made me feel, well, he made me feel. I felt appreciated, but in a different way than when Beepo or a hero expresses gratitude. I felt something else as well, too new for me to process, let alone articulate, only that I found it quite pleasant. I will confess to having monitored Edge for the simple reason that she is an enigma, making it difficult to know if she can be trusted fully. What is known is that she is a skilled fighter, wielding her flying sword as if it were a part of her. I do trust her, though I cannot explain why. Is it instinct? Wishful thinking? Hope? Perhaps it is all three, for what really is the difference? Analysis, data, evidence, these allow AIs such as myself to look beyond the surface. Still, Rabbid Rosalina defies my expectations. She is lethargic, jaded, cynical, and perpetually annoyed, but woo to the bioform that gets between her and someone she loves, especially if that someone is Rosalina, her idol. Born of the famous basement incident, rescued by Orion, she is now one of us. We met the last of the Druids on Terraflora, heir to all their research and knowledge gleaned from Mount Spout's mysterious mineral spring water. The Druids of old had reputations as makers of powerful potions, yet this one seems more inclined to fuse spring water with delicious fruit combinations. Whether it is to fund more important work or to prove that 0 calories doesn't mean 0 taste, I cannot know. With little trees or vegetation to stave off erosion, Mama needed a solution to keep Barrendale Mesa from falling apart, and fast. Having no one to rely on but herself, she invented the ring stabilizer to uphold the environmental integrity of the planet. Once the soil can be enriched, planting will begin anew. Perhaps by our next visit it will have been transformed again, this time for the better. Once, this windmill was used to harness gusts of wind to mill grain and pump water. Mama has since adapted it to be a renewable source of electricity, with which Barrendale Mesa can be restored to its former glory. For those who wish to reach the base of the generator, cranes and moving platforms must be used in lieu of ladders, elevators, or any remotely safe means of scaling. The cowardly Spellraiser prefers to keep its distance, targeting heroes from long range with a powerful bolt of menacing energy. When not so engaged, it summons other minions of Curse's army to do its dirty work for it. It feels right at home when in contact with slime and ooze, but is vulnerable to attacks that make use of gusts of wind. Our visit to Barrendale Mesa was a critical diversion meant to enlist the help of Mama, Warden and Master Mechanic. The endlessly inventive Rabbids there were without direction until her arrival, but she has since served as a mentor and mother figure to them. Barrendale Mesa is isolated, cut off from civilization by distance and choice. This necessitates a particular genius for making silk purses out of sow's ears, using repurposed technology and salvaged parts in ways that defy imagination. Like most geniuses, Mama is extremely protective of her workspace. No one is allowed in her garage, lest they disturb the meticulous surroundings within. Barrendale Mesa was not always barren. After arriving, the Rabbids quickly depleted its natural resources with little thought to the future, transforming this once verdant Mesa into a wasteland. Mama has changed the Rabbids' attitudes, but changing the landscape will take more time. Yet, the planet is not without charm. Its panoramic views inspire, and its canyons offer much in the way of exploration. Of all Bowser's minions that were usurped by Cursa, Magic Koopas are amongst the most troublesome, and it is not difficult to see why. They are powerful magicians who are adept at enhancing and reinforcing their allies on the battlefield, timing their efforts wisely. Cursa has made them immune to all super effects. Amongst all the rabid feline mutations, these are perhaps the ones that cause me the most concern for our heroes. The more they are hurt, the more harm they manage to cause with each successful assault, and they will doggedly pursue any hero who successfully lands a blow, no matter where they are. Being water-based, splash-focused attacks are of little use, but ones incorporating electricity are highly effective. It was on Barrendale Mesa that we crossed paths with the most vile, corrupt spark hunter of them all, Daphne. She toyed with us like a cat would a mouse, though she is derived from neither. Cursa instead fused rabbid DNA with a rare species of pink climbing rose, those often found in secretive corners of moonlit gardens. She is sneaky and uses her thorns well, not to defend, but to destroy. Seeing Rosalina free herself from Cursa's control, only to be retaken, brought us to our lowest of lows, and our highest of highs, thankfully in that order. It could have gone so differently, but I wanted, no, needed to feel hope, and so I found my reasons. Mama agreed, and the heroes rallied, and we were united and revitalized. Such a small and tangible thing, hope, yet it is everything. It is a mistake to assume that Barrendale Mesa is home to only Mama and a few rabbits. Other colorful figures have sought refuge there from more constrictive society, including the artist Gerspard and his most devoted critic, Dada. Gerspard is behind the greatest works of the galaxy, from the frescoes of the Sunrise Temple to the murals of Barrendale Mesa, always with Dada nearby, quietly judging. It is surprising that our truce with Bowser lasted longer than our first battle together, yet his desire for revenge against Cursa for commandeering his minions has thus far proved stronger than his longing to kidnap Princess Peach or his animosity towards Mario. Bioforms are motivated by a number of factors, not all of which are necessarily virtuous. Stout-hearted, selfless, humble, virtuous, are these enough to describe Mario, by far the most storied hero among us? Would any such plaudits serve? I can only speak for myself when I say that the accolades are well-deserved. Mario's kindness and bravery inspire everyone around him, even myself. As much as anyone or anything, Mario has taught me to feel, and from there, to hope. During the battle with Edge's Dark Mist doppelganger, I noticed 4 statues, one given to each of the 3 spark hunters met so far. Midnight, Bedrock, and Daphne, and one that had been destroyed to the point where it was unrecognizable. There is no question that Cursa is more powerful, cunning, and relentless than any single one of us. Yet together, with aid from Rosalina, it was vanquished. Still, its corrupting influence reached nearly every corner of the galaxy, where much of it lingers still. We have stopped the Dark Mist at its source, but we have much work to do if we are to remove the rest before it can cause any more harm. I received a most curious communication. It reads as follows. You don't know me, however, you could say that we're related. I invented Beepo, and I'm proud to see how he's evolved from a virtual assistant to a thinking, feeling, if not a little grouchy, bona fide hero. Come to think of it, you and Beepo have a lot in common. You just got there with a lot less help. Who sent this, and why?
That probably references the girl, by the way. You know, the girl that we meant at the very start of the intro of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And this, well, we'll actually see this guy in one of the DLCs. You might have noticed it. It's called The Last Spark Hunter, so you probably already know that. But anyway, we are back, and oh my gosh, that is a majority of the map stuff done. Of course, now we need to actually take a look at the other stuff to make sure we're not missing anything. So, for the item setup, I'll just check the items, just so you can see that we do have all the items spot. And we have all the keys. And then for sparks, we have every single one of them, just for fun, leveled up to max. To make it easier, I'm going to start in reverse order and go for each of these. First off, we have the Master, starting with the Wild Claw Master, which spawns a Wild Claw ally that does melee damage and protects against physical damage by 35%. Then we have Squash It Master, spawns a Squash It ally with 230 HP. When jumping on enemies, the wave generated upon landing deals 677 gust damage, so it's one of the Squash-Ets from World 2. Then we have the Scoper Master, summons a Scoper ally with 1620 HP. Each shot of its double shot attack does 677 damage. Increases its ability is Critical Buddy, which increases the chance of critical hits from weapons by 30%. This guy amplifies any healing received by 30%, so essentially means the character gets healed more. Then we have Oozer Master, spawns a Oozer ally with 1620 HP. Its Ooze attacks can deal surround damage and can also silence and disarm enemies. And increases weapon-based attack damage by 30%. Then we have Reflector. 60% of the damage intended for the hero is redirected towards the enemy instead. It also has Attack Master, which increases weapon-based attack damage by 30%, something I did not know about. That could have come in handy for the final battle. Then we have Vamp Stella, which also has the ability to increase critical hit chance. All weapon-based attacks deal 160% damage and heal the hero by 30% of the damage dealt. Then we have Pulsar, probably one of the more unique ones of all. Is our first and only revival skill. Allies within range are revived with 70% of their maximum HP, and this increases any healing received to that hero by 30%. Then there's Regenesis, which improves the hero's max HP by 35%, and once activated, a hero regenerates 40% of their maximum HP at the start of the next 3 turns. Then we have Zephyr Quake, casts 3 shockwaves of Gust Super Effect. Each one deals reduced amount of damage. All super effect damage is reduced by 40%. Heroes are also not affected by Gust Super Effect. Then we have Aquanox. Base attacks are charged with 165% splash damage and also do the splash super effect. And all super effect damage is also reduced by 40%, and heroes are not affected by the splash super effect. Then we have Scratch, which enemies within range are repelled from the hero's position. We use this like pretty much only one time. It increases the chance of critical hits from weapons by 30%. Then we have Cryogen Mayors with the Frostbite effect rain upon the enemies. Each one does a certain amount of 608 damage. All super effect damage is reduced by 40%, and heroes are not affected by a Frostbite effect. So similar thing there. Toxic Quake, very early Sark that we've been using for a while. Cast 3 shock waves of the Ooze effect. This is the earliest and only Ooze effect we have for a long time. It does 283 damage each, and all super effect damage is again reduced by 40%, and we are not affected by the super effect. Now we have Crowby, which has basically the same ability as Venom for the second one. Pretty much exactly the same, it's just that all weapon-based attacks now deal 72 to 1204 frostbite damage, and also have the frostbite super effect. And then we have Electro Dash. All dashes deal 810 damage and have the shock super effect. All super effect damage is reduced by 40%, and heroes not affected heroes are not affected by the shock super effect. And water also has Splash Protector, which is the same as the before, except all dashes deal 810 damage of water and have the Splash super effect. Then we have Zephyr Dash, which is the same as Gust Protector again, which is the same thing, except now all dashes deal 810 gust damage and have the Gust super effect. And then we have Electrogeddon, which is just the electric ability again, but it's meteors that do electric damage, 630 each, with the shock super effect. Protector. Very useful, as you can see. And yeah, it has Shock Protector. And then we have two of probably some of the most useful arcs in the whole game. First we have Exosphere, which fortifies, which makes us take 55% reduced damage, including damage from super effects for 2 turns. And as Athlete increases all movability damage by 35%, so it means our dashes do more damage. So that could have actually been somewhat helpful on Edge too, but that's only an ability. And then we have Starburst. Allies within range are dealt 60% more damage with attacks and movement abilities, and it also improves our physical damage reduction by 35%. This is basically our Empower, might you add. And then we have Pyrostar, a all-weapon-based attacks deal 910,094 fire damage and have the Bird super effect. All super effect damage is also reduced by 40%, and this hero is not affected by the Bird super effect. Then we have Aqua Quake, cast these shockwaves of the 283 water damage with the Splash super effect, and it has Splash Protector once again. Then we have Mario, which also has Burn Protector, just like the Everflame one. It's just now Meteor's Rain that do flame damage instead. And Toxic Comet is basically just like the other attacks, it's just that the attacks do ooze damage, and it also has Ooze Protector. Then we have Zephyr Attack, which is just like the Ooze one we just mentioned, but it does all gust damage and protects against gust attacks instead. And then we have my favorite personally so far, the Effering, which grants ability Unseen. The hero turns invisible for 2 turns and cannot be directly targeted, however they're still vulnerable to some damage and mainly super effects. Increases all the movement ability damage by 35%. Very useful, I use this one a lot. And then we have Glitter. Enemies within the range of the hero are pulled towards the hero's position, and this increases weapon damage based attacks by 30%, so this is actually a decent combo to have on Rabbid Mario. And then we have Vamp Dash, which is the dash abilities, except they heal the hero by 30% of the damage dealt, and conveniently it also increases all movement ability damage by 35%. Then we have Electroid, which is basically like the other attacks, but elemental attacks, but it's shock attack instead, and so each attack does 712 to 840 damage, and they have the shock super effect, and it also has shock protector. And then we have the final one. This is probably one of the last ones we locked. This one has healing booster, increase the hero's max HP by 35%, but its ability is it summons Rabbit Calm, which creates a wave in all directions that does exactly 124 damage and sends enemies bouncing, so that's quite interesting. Then all we have left to show off is, well, the weapon skins. I'm going to start from the top, the basic one, and work down. So we have Normal Dual Slinger, Speedway Dual Slinger, Wildwood Dual Slinger. I'm not going to read all these texts. Feel free to read them if you want. Vintage Dual Slinger, the Steampunk one, and the Gleaming one. Then we have, for Peach, we are going to actually go from reverse this time. We have the Megabug one, then we have the Gleaming one, the Steampunk one, the Vintage one, the Wild one, the Speedway one, and the Normal one. Then we have the Megabug winner, as well as the Gleaming one, then the Steampunk one, and then the Vintage one, the Wildwood one, the Speedway one, and the normal one. Then we have the Gleaming Triple Toe, as well as both Megabug and Galactic Triple Toe. These are both DLC weapons. And then we have Gleaming, and then we have the Steampunk one, and then Vintage, the Wildwood one, the Speedway one, and then finally the normal one. This one I'll just go from the top this time. So we have the regular Sharpshooter, the Speedway version, the Wildwood one, the Vintage one, the Steampunk one, and then the Gleaming one, and then finally the Megabug one, which is DLC. And then we have Disruptor, regular one, the Speedway one, the Wildwood one, the Vintage one, the Steampunk one, and the Gleaming one, and the Megabug one. And then we have, we'll go back from reverse again. We have the Megabug Dukes, DLC one, and then, yeah, the Gleaming, the Steampunk one, the Vintage Dukes, the Wildwood Dukes, the Speedway Dukes, and then finally the regular one. Then we have the Megabug and Galactic Blade for Edge. These is one of the new DLC ones we just got. Then we have the Gleaming Blade, the Steampunk variety, the Vintage one, the Wildwood one, the Speedway one, and finally the normal one. And then we're gonna finish with Bowser. So we'll start from the beginning. His normal Bazooka, the Speedway variety, the Wildwood variety, the Vintage one, the Steampunk one, the Gleaming one, and finally the Megabug one. So if we take a look and equip the other abilities, then that means they gave us galactic versions for, based off of what we found, one for Mario, one for Rabbid Peach, and one for Edge. That's actually convenient. These are some of the early characters we did use in the run, so kind of cool that they were the ones to get it. So that's one of the hidden part ones we get for DLC. They aren't required for 100%, but you are required to get the other weapon skins. And then, of course, we gotta do our one final check, and then save the game before restarting. So if we check for section progress, we see that story progression is 100%. And let's go ahead and see that message for the team. And what a journey it's been. Travel humbles, for the galaxy feels infinite, as does the number of people who make it hum, yet of which no two are exactly alike. For this we are the richer. Wherever your journey through life leads you, we are humbled to have taken some part of it with you. That's the confirmation that you get 100%. And just so that I don't mess up anything, we'll even save to a new slot just to confirm this. So that's 100%. Now we're going to quit to the main menu, and what we should see now is we should see a 100% part done. And the next time we do a video of this, it'll be the DLC, the first part. And you'll see that, yep, there's the 100% file that confirms that it's 100% completed. Even glitters just like a 100% file normally would, so that's cool. So that confirms we've 100%ed. Now we have to go for the DLCs, starting with the Tower of Doom first, probably. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.